Derringer. These small pocket pistols became legendary, not for their power, but for their concealability. Henry Derringer originally designed a pocket pistol in the 1850s, and many manufacturers copied the style. Most held only 1 or 2 shots and were effective only at very close range. Despite their limitations, they became the weapon of choice for gamblers, businessmen, and anyone who needed discreet protection. John Wilkes Booth used a Derringer to assassinate President Lincoln, cementing the gun's place in history. The name became synonymous with small backup pistols and remains so today.
LeMat revolver. This unique firearm combined a 9-shot revolver cylinder with a single-shot shotgun barrel mounted beneath. A pivoting hammer nose allowed the shooter to select which barrel to fire. Confederate cavalry and officers favored it during the Civil War because it offered more firepower than standard revolvers. The central shotgun barrel could be loaded with buckshot for devastating close-range effect. While complex and somewhat heavy, the LeMat provided versatility that no other handgun of the era could match. Its unusual design and Civil War association make it a legendary piece of firearms history.
Mauser C96. Developed in the 1890s in Germany, this semi-automatic pistol represented the future of handgun design. It used a detachable or fixed magazine that held 10 rounds and could fire them as fast as the trigger was pulled. The distinctive broom handle grip and wooden shoulder stock holster made it immediately recognizable. While technically from the very end of the 1800s, it showed how far firearms had come since the beginning of the century. Military officers and adventurers around the world adopted it. The pistol's advanced design influenced firearms development well into the 1900s.
Gatling Gun. This mechanical weapon was the first reliable rapid-fire gun and changed warfare forever. Invented by Richard Gatling during the Civil War, it used multiple rotating barrels that were fired by turning a hand crank. Each complete rotation fired all the barrels in sequence, allowing sustained fire of hundreds of rounds per minute. The gun required a crew to operate and was typically mounted on a wheels carriage. Military forces used it to devastating effect against massed infantry and cavalry. Though not a personal firearm, its legendary status comes from being the ancestor of all modern machine guns.
Colt Single Action Army. This revolver became one of the most iconic firearms of the American frontier. After its introduction in 1873, the United States Army adopted it as their standard issue sidearm, and it quickly spread to lawmen, outlaws, and civilians across the West. What made it legendary was its reliability and stopping power. Chambered in .45 Colt, the gun featured a rotating cylinder that held 6 rounds and a distinctive mechanism that required the hammer to be manually cocked before each shot. It earned the nickname Peacemaker and remained in production for decades, becoming a symbol of the Old West itself. Winchester Model 1873, known as the gun that won the West. This lever-action rifle changed how people thought about repeating firearms. Before this model, most rifles were single-shot or had limited capacity. The Winchester held 15 rounds in a tubular magazine and could be fired rapidly by working the lever action. Settlers, hunters, and frontiersmen valued it for its balance between firepower and portability. The rifle was accurate enough for hunting game and powerful enough for defense. It became so widespread that finding ammunition for it was easier than for almost any other firearm of the era.
Smith & Wesson Model 3. This top-rake revolver represented a major advancement in handgun design when it appeared in the 1870s. Unlike the Colt, which required slow manual loading of individual cartridges, the Model 3 could be opened at a hinge and all spent casings would automatically eject at once. This dramatically reduced reload time. The Russian Empire ordered thousands of these revolvers, leading to a variant specifically made for their military. American shooters appreciated the craftsmanship and smooth operation. The design influenced revolver development for years afterward.
Sharps rifle. Buffalo hunters and long-range marksmen preferred this single-shot rifle throughout the mid to late 1800s. The gun used a falling block action that was simple but extremely strong, allowing it to handle powerful cartridges. Professional hunters used Sharps rifles to kill buffalo from distances exceeding 500 yards. The rifle played a significant role in the near extinction of the American bison. Military sharpshooters also valued it during the Civil War for its exceptional accuracy. Its reputation for precision made it legendary among those who needed to make every shot count.
Remington Model 1875. This revolver served as a direct competitor to the Colt Single Action Army. Remington designed it with a similar appearance and function, hoping to capture some of the military and civilian markets. While it never achieved the same fame as the Colt, it still gained respect for its solid construction and reliability. The gun featured a distinctive web-like shape under the barrel and was available in various calibers. Many frontier lawmen carried Remington revolvers as their primary sidearm. It represented quality American craftsmanship during a time when firearms manufacturers competed intensely for market share.
Henry Rifle. This lever-action rifle preceded the Winchester and laid the groundwork for repeating rifle development. Introduced in 1860, it held 16 rimfire cartridges in its magazine. The brass frame gave it a distinctive golden appearance that made it instantly recognizable. Confederate soldiers during the Civil War called it that damned Yankee rifle you could load on Sunday and shoot all week. The main drawback was its relatively weak cartridge compared to single-shot rifles of the time. Despite this, its rapid-fire capability made it legendary among those who owned one.
Colt Walker, created in 1847 through collaboration between Samuel Colt and Texas Ranger Captain Samuel Walker. This massive revolver was the most powerful handgun of its era. Each gun weighed over 4.5 pounds and fired a .44 caliber ball with enough powder to rival rifle cartridges. The Walker could drop a horse or man with a single shot. Only about 1,100 were ever made, making surviving examples extremely rare. Texas Rangers and soldiers during the Mexican-American War used them with devastating effect. The gun's legendary status comes from both its raw power and its scarcity.
Springfield Model 1873 Trapdoor. The United States Army adopted this rifle as their standard infantry weapon for over 2 decades. It used a simple breech loading action where a hinged breech block swung up like a trapdoor to load a single cartridge. While not as fast as repeating rifles, it was reliable and could handle powerful .45-70 government ammunition. Soldiers carried it during the Indian Wars, including at the Battle of Little Bighorn. The rifle was accurate and had long range, making it effective in open terrain. Its longevity in military service made it one of the defining firearms of the late 1800s.
Volcanic Repeating Arms Pistol. This unusual firearm represented an early attempt at creating a self-contained cartridge-repeating pistol in the 1850s. The gun used a lever action similar to later rifles and held multiple rounds in a tubular magazine. However, the ammunition it fired was underpowered and often unreliable. The company that made it eventually failed, but its investors and designers went on to create Winchester repeating arms. While the volcanic pistol itself was not particularly successful, it became legendary for being a stepping stone to more famous firearms. It showed what was possible, even if the execution was flawed.
Colt Python. Though introduced near the very end of the 1800s in some prototype forms, the design philosophy began in this era. This double-action revolver represented the pinnacle of revolver craftsmanship, with hand-fitted parts and exceptional accuracy. The gun featured a ventilated rib on top of the barrel and was known for its smooth trigger pull. While expensive, those who could afford one received a firearm that was both beautiful and functional. It became a favorite among serious shooters who wanted the best possible revolver. The reputation it built in its early years carried forward for over a century.